Yeah, welcome to Ask the Pros Business Podcast.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having
where,
me.
yeah,
Up
where
the
we,
irons. We're gonna beat Chelsea twice.
no. Where we speak to guys like you, share your journey, your story, how you started, in a way, trying to help other entrepreneurs as well.
Yeah.
I know you're a speaker, you're a consultant, and you have your new book out as well, which is the creator mindset, And we are on this show, we always start from the beginning. Yeah, good. Yeah, on this show, we always start from the beginning. Starting from the beginning means, telling the listeners, the viewers, who knows, what was your interest growing up, how you started, just the beginning, beginning of things, how you started,
For sure. Yeah, for sure. So thanks for having me. This is really cool, and I'm excited that I know you got a lot of people want to be on your show. So I'm really appreciative that you picked me.
Thanks.
And so basically I was going door to door when I was 9 years old, washing cars in Los Angeles. And it was like the mid 80s. And, people bought their brand new, Ford Taurus, and they were like, don't touch it. I was like, no, but I'm here to wash it and blah, blah, blah. So I learned after countless rejection that if I wasn't creative about what I did, I wasn't going to make any money. And so what I ended up doing is not washing cars that much, but taking out the trash and cleaning people's yard and cleaning up and, all of these different things. I would clean the trash cans with a hose because nobody wanted to do that, right? And here I am, many, many, many years later, and some of the same things that I learned back then apply today. So, I have a business now with employees, and I have master services agreements and statements of work. And yet I still have to be creative about what I do in order to make money. If I follow what's on the statement of work exactly, maybe the account will last for a little while, check the boxes, and then on you go. You always have to do more. You always have to do something special. You always have to be creative in order to do well in business. And so my life's mission right now is to go around and teach people how to be more creative.
Yeah, good, man. Love that, man. Love that. Love the fact that, from the beginning, you had that entrepreneurial mindset, you were willing to issue, do anything just to get by, which is good, because, starting up as a little boy, you did all that. Just imagine now, now you're teaching the whole world how to do stuff now, which is great, man. I love that.
Yeah.
But starting your own business, like starting your own business and getting into that groove as well, how difficult was it, starting back then, compared to now, what's the difference? What did you do differently?
Yeah, definitely. So, so I've had a bunch of companies, right? I've had a company that did furniture refinishing. I don't know. I thought that would be, the best thing ever. And I had a company that did Hollywood productions, where we had employees and we did, we were nominated for an Emmy. I mean, we did pretty well. And, I worked with all these Hollywood celebrities, and that one crashed that one into the ground.
Why? What happened?
So so here's the thing, man. In failure, there's so much more to learn than getting it right. And we are constantly worried about getting it wrong. And as entrepreneurs and as lifelong business participants, we need to start to learn from getting it wrong, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And I think that getting it wrong is a very good thing. So what I did was I put out a movie that did pretty well. We sold it to Universal, and then there was all these auxiliary products. So people were pitching. My staff would like, "Hey, let's do this. Let's do that. Let's put out a cookbook or different products that had to circle around that main entity." And I said, nah, it's going to be great. This is going to be the next big thing. We don't have to do anything. And I literally got complacent on the first taste of success. Yeah, we made money, but I didn't continually change and tweak and refresh the product so that I can capture a larger market segment. And literally what happened was I sat on my butt and crashed the company into the ground. Literally, I had to, fire people, and it was horrible because I thought that what we needed to do would just stick to what we were doing well, which is getting that product out and letting it sort of get out into the market. I learned so much by that failure, because don't ever do that. If you're listening to the podcast right now and you just made a little bit of money or even a lot of money, right? And you're like, this is doing really well. I just want to rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. That doesn't work. It never works. What you want to do is you want to continually tweak and edit and change and be incredibly creative and innovative in everything that you offer. Always. That is the secret recipe of success. Coca-Cola didn't stop, because they had Coke. They did Sprite and all the other products and so on and so forth. You have to constantly innovate and constantly change in order to grow.
Yeah, and I love that, man. Nice one. Yeah. To add to that as well, like for example, now Facebook as a company, if Facebook was just Facebook, man, I'm sure Facebook would probably be dead by now. They now they have Instagram, they have WhatsApp, they have all that other things they're doing together now. So which is totally great. So you went to that business crashed. Learned your lesson. And what was the next thing for you?
So the next thing after that business was with a bunch of, I set up a company that helped advertising agencies sort of, do well. It was like a consultancy. And I ended up working with a bunch of different brands. I started at the agency, went to the meeting, and the brands were like, well, we need you, how do you work, And I said, oh, I'm a creativity guy. I worked in Hollywood and I worked in music. And so I have kind of a recipe for creativity. They're like, yeah, you come here. Here's a 3-month contract. Show us how to do that. So that kind of spiraled into a point where I was like, man, I got to write some of this stuff down. Okay. So I looked around in the marketplace at videos and books and courses and schools. Nobody was teaching this, man. Every book on the market was about why you should be creative, nothing about the how. So about 6 years ago, I started writing, and it took me 6 years to write, 280 pages, because I was working like you and like your listeners. I wasn't sitting on my ass watching, football, although I do a fair amount of that. It was really about going and changing and getting on a plane to see a client and getting an hour here, an hour there. So I thought that within that period of time, there was for sure someone was going to come out with a how on creativity, and nobody did. So I'm really, really happy to have occupied a niche in the market. And that's what I urge entrepreneurs to do. People listening to your podcast, I want them to look at the market and go, there's a niche here. I need to fill it, and grab onto the potential of innovation in that niche area. That's what I help teach, and that's what I want people to do.
Yeah, cool, man. Straight up. But so, being creative is something that I would say some people naturally probably gifted with being creative, but for you, how do you still stay inspired and creative, with everything that you still have to do, how do you stay creative?
So for me, creativity is something we're all born with. It's just part and parcel to who we are. But as we get older, and I done research and I found it everywhere in the world, no matter where, the West, the East, the Southeast, everywhere in the world. As we get older, we start to get rid of creativity and trade it for analytics. Okay, we love spreadsheets everywhere in the world. We love numbers, we love quantification, we love P&L sheets, and we love our quarterly reports, right? We love those things. And yet those things don't give us a full picture of what's going on, man. It does not give you a full picture. And I've worked with Fortune 500 companies, and I've worked with the dry cleaners on the corner. It doesn't matter who you are, and it doesn't matter what company you run or even where you work as an employee. The numbers don't give you the full picture. So there's got to be another way to look at things. Now, I'm not saying throw away the numbers, but I am advocating for coming together in the middle of keeping the analytics, but also adding creativity on top of it. Because we're all born with it, we just have to reawaken what creativity is. I wrote a book. I got 92 tools in there, and every one of them is free. Every single tool is free. It's about just shifting your mindset and allowing yourself to awaken what that creativity is telling you what to do. Some people have it naturally and easily, and some people don't, but no worries. Everybody can become more creative. Now, really important, it's not about playing an instrument or like, being a ballerina or anything like that. It's not about dance. It's not about the art. Art is like 1% of the creativity spectrum. Music, art, fashion, sculpture, fine art, painting. It's just like 1%. So there's 99% of potential out there of ways to get creative about your business that is ripe for the taking, and that most businesses in the world today, most of them are not doing. So it's time to start to learn how to get creative. I talk about it in the book. I got, you get a pen, you got a piece of paper, and you do it. And it's all about doing, not about waiting for a lightning bolt to strike. Oh, I'm so inspired today. West Ham beat,
Chelsea.
Chelsea 10-0. That is certainly an inspiring moment. And certainly something that happens often, as your listeners know. But this is really about having the tools to create inspiration whenever you need it. And that's what I'm all about, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely, man. Love that. But being creative, can say is one thing, and also being successful again is another thing. What's the underlying thing between those things, two things? Because you can be creative, and you also want success as well. Can you mix two of them together? Can two of them work hand in hand?
Absolutely. And some of the best companies in the world that we love are doing that right now. You got Elon Musk doing that. He's super creative. People are telling him, no, you can't go to the moon. I mean, we haven't gone to the moon since the 60s, right? He's like, we're going, we're going to the space station. We're going to do this. We're going to put, a woman on Mars, like all of that stuff. Super important. Amazon is doing it. There's a lot of companies that are really good. Dude, the dry cleaner here in Orlando, he's charging a lump sum per month. That's creativity, man. He's not charging you $8 a shirt and $6 for a pair of slacks and skirts and stuff like that. He's not doing that. He's saying, okay, you want to come use my services? No problem. It's $35. I don't know what it is, but it's $35 a month flat fee. That's creativity, man. That's good stuff. Like, what in your business and what in your listeners' business can they be doing right now that would change the billing model even? That's creative. How do you change the billing model? I love it. Porsche, right? I love these guys. I'm like an addict, almost like West Ham, right? They have me in the computer there. I've been buying their stuff for so long that they're like, oh, So anyway, they sent me an email. They're like, Nir, we got a new program, right? And what it is forget buying the car. Okay, forget it. What we're going to do is you pay us a certain amount a month, a certain amount. I don't know what it is, but I think it's $1,200 or $1,400 a month, and we'll give you access to any car you want. You call, or we'll give you an app. You say, I want the Panamera today. We'll have it at your house. You drive it around for a week. You drive it around for 6 weeks, a month, 5 months, 6 months, a year, whatever you want. And then you go on the app, and we'll send you the next car. You want a Macan? We'll give you a Macan. And I'm like, dude, brilliant. That's creativity, right? Why not look at every aspect of your model, of your company, and open it up to creative interpretation? That type of thinking does not come from analytics. There is nobody on the analytical side who's going to say, you know what, stop selling cars. We're going to do a subscription service. Who does that? I mean, that is brilliant, and it's creativity. And maybe where the market is going. So I think the time is ripe. I think there's people out there doing amazing creative things, but most of us are not. Most of us are stuck. And I'm one to talk, man. I've been stuck for many, many, many years. So I've gotten everything I teach wrong. And I think that's why I'm uniquely capable of helping people out, because I'm not some like guru, or like, I'm not gonna meditate and be like align your chakras. I mean, if you want to do that, that's great, man. That's great. But I mean, if you want to get to work, like then call me, because
Yeah.
I'm more that guy.
Yeah, absolutely, man. In terms of, saying being creative and innovative as well, to add to that, companies like Airbnb, Uber, I think they're all doing the same thing as well. Because come to think of it, you have a house, you probably barely stay in the house like 10 times a year. Why not just put that out on rent, and get money from? So they came out with this brilliant idea for you to just, just rent your home to visitors, and that idea just probably going to put hotels out of business soon.
Yeah. Yeah, that business is also ripe for change, because Airbnb has been around a while now, and that
Yeah, it is.
model of taking a percentage of somebody else's thing is starting to kind of, the Marriotts of the world are getting involved, and they're doing very interesting things, very interesting new things. So I think that everything is ripe for the changing. It's been a few years, the run has been good. I recommend the Airbnb model, all of those things to start to evolve to what's next.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, when it comes to building a brand, bringing a brand that we love, that we want to, hold dearly to our hearts, what's the process of that? Because a lot of guys might be listening now, like, oh, I've got an idea, I want to build my brand, but I don't know how to go about this, But you've gone through different companies, through different organizations, and some successful, some not so successful. But how do you build a brand? Where do you start from?
So for me, branding is a very, very good question, because we are all born creative, and it's in our bone marrow, man. It's in our heart. The DNA that comes from expressing that creativity is going to be your brand. That's it. And when you're in touch with what it is that you really want to do, that makes your market differentiator. I speak to a lot of marketing groups. I don't know how that happened. And marketing is one of those things where there's a million people that do marketing, right? Like you open up Google, go marketing UK, marketing Cromwell or whatnot. You'll see there's 100, there's 200, and then up in Liverpool, there's 1,000 marketing companies. And so for me, it's really about, how do you differentiate between these marketing companies? How do you differentiate between the ideas that your listeners have and their competitors? Well, for me, it's really all about understanding the DNA of who you are creatively. And that idea, that DNA of creativity is unique. It is your stamp on life. It is the way that you're going to be different than me, and I'm going to be different than your listeners, and everybody's going to be completely, completely different. What it is when you're true to what your identity is creatively and what you really want to do, the market will then look at your product or service and go, that's a different marketing agency, because they tend to do things, for this type of thing. And those guys tend to do things for that type of thing. And people understand what your market differentiator is because you're on the spine, you're touching on the nerve of something that we all understand. And so that's what I recommend your listeners do. If they want to figure out how to differentiate themselves from the marketplace, they need to look at what it is that gets them really excited in the first place, and that touch that they give, that personality to their staff, that personality that they give to the organization, that sense of creativity will then turn into your brand and your market differentiator.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, in saying that, what would you say is the best advice you've gotten so far, as an entrepreneur?
The best advice that I've gotten, you know, was I think I've gotten a lot of good advice, right? And I've taken very little of it. I'm that guy. Like I'm stubborn, and I've gotten a lot of things wrong, and I'm embarrassed. But I think one thing that I got, a piece of advice that was really good, was to take the little victories that you have and celebrate them. I was always thinking that unless I hit a main goal, I've failed, but there are all kinds of little victories if you look hard. If you look really hard, you can see little victories, and they sort of take you on a path that might be different than that main path. And that little victory path is glorious, and that's where you should be focusing attention on. That's a really good thing. There was a ice cream machine salesman a few years ago who wanted to sell a bunch of ice cream machines. That was his big target. So, he got his marketing lists and stuff and started getting on and, volume analytics. I'm going to sell a bunch of machines. I need a bunch of lists, a bunch of people. He did okay for a while, but then he started to fail. Right. And he didn't know why. So he wanted the more machines, ice cream machines for everyone, And then one day he found a restaurant in California that was, buying a lot of the machines. He was like, what are you guys buying the machine for? Making a lot of milkshakes. We're selling a lot of milkshakes. So he went, stood in line. The line was out the door, down the block, dude, around the block. Stood in line, had the best cheeseburger he's ever had in his life. The guy's name was Ray Kroc, and the restaurant was McDonald's. If he would have just kept on his main goal, he would have been like, who knows? But because he chose to listen to the little victories, that took him in a slightly different path. And that path was potentially, I think, a million times more profitable than having that original goal. So what are those little victories that are happening in your life right now and in your listener's life that you can then piece together as like the breadcrumbs of the path that you need to go on? And those are very, very powerful tools that I think your listeners can do today.
Absolutely love that story. I've seen that. I've seen that movie as well. Really, really great movie. But for what you just said now, like someone like me now, I'm doing this podcast now. Getting guests on the show, and I'm doing it because I love what I do. I want to talk to guys like you. I want to help people out there, putting free content outside. And something just sparks now, like something's pertaining to what you're saying right now. Like, okay, you're doing this, but have you ever thought about how you're going to make money from this? Have you thought about how you're going to strategize and change certain things? Have you ever thought about that? For people like me that have been on this part, and people out there as well, listening as well, what would you say, is the right path for them to go, in terms of changing the dynamics of things, try re-strategizing, and in a way, because we all know that if you're in a business, you have to be making money. If you're not making money, that business is going to die, So what would you say? What would be your take on that? What would be your advice to that?
Yeah, so I think that the industrial economy of yesterday has been traded for the idea economy of today, of tomorrow. Okay, so what I think is happening is that the services for money economy has gone away a little bit. Okay, it hasn't changed, but A equals B, A service or product equals B payment is now A service or product equals like F or G service or product, and the way they're might not be as direct anymore. So podcasts are wonderful. I mean, some podcasts make money, most don't. It's all about getting information out there and then having a listener call up or send you an email and go, wow, dude, that really changed it. I need your help here and there. So I'm monetizing things in a completely different way than an A-B relationship. And I highly recommend that your entrepreneurs do the same. I'm putting out free content, free material. I spend half of my day on the content pipeline, and that is free stuff. It is chapters from the book. It is free seminars, webinars, free everything, free, right? And then I have, part of my pipeline is the sales pipeline, which takes the free stuff and gets it out there so that people can look at it and then say, you know what, we have a need, please help us fill it. So that's how I'm monetizing the book. I make 61 cents on every copy that's sold, dude. 61 cents. So I need to sell like 1 million copies before I make any money. So it's not about, it's just the book is part of getting information out there. It's cheap. I think right now it's $20, right? US. So that's like, what, like 8 pounds, 10 pounds or whatever.
Yeah, that about.
Yeah, or like $50 Canadian, Anyway, so it costs nothing. Very, very cheap, and getting it out there is really part of the plan of getting more work. I do consulting, I do speaking, I do webinars, I do all kinds of things to help people. I recommend that your listeners start to understand, and it's a great question, that the industrial economy of products and services delivered, invoices paid has changed a little bit. Yeah, there's still some of that going on, but there's a whole new world out there in terms of how to connect a product and service to a customer that is ripe for exploration, for creativity. Podcast is one of them, but there's another 101, 1,001, a million ways to connect that sort of stream. And I recommend that people get really, really creative about how to connect a product or service to a paid customer.
Cool, man. Nice one, man. Love that, man. But you've on your journey, your partner, you've been there for a while now. You've done great things for yourself, and someone comes to meet you and say, "Nah, I'm struggling. I want to do certain things. I want to go through those routes or through that route, through what you're doing as well as a speaker. What would be your advice to that person?"
My advice to people would be to learn from their mistakes, learn from getting it wrong. My advice would be to celebrate those little victories that happen along the way. My advice would be to not get complacent. As soon as you get some money in for whatever you're doing, there is a natural tendency, and it goes back 50, 60, 70,000 years ago to early man and woman, where we got a little bit of a reward for, our effort, and we just hunkered down, right? When we got that fresh, source of water, we built a little house, we got a cave right by the water because we knew that that was consistent and that we would be able to live. And today, we view our businesses the same like as life, but it's not. Just because we got paid for something doesn't mean that all we need to do is hunker down and stay on that paid resource. We need to diversify that resource so that we can have different revenue streams coming in and maximizing those revenue streams so that profitability is really the key. So for me, it's really about not resting and not getting complacent. I talk in the book about several companies that got complacent. It's about having honest and fair billing models. I talk about companies that take advantage of people. There's several of them today. They take advantage of people. They put them on subscriptions that they don't want. And it's called the exploitative sale. It's a great business model if you're an asshole, but eventually one day there's going to be a crack in that system, and it's not sustainable, it's not creative. So I talk about that. I talk about how to embrace change and how to make change happen to your benefit. There's a lot of tools and tricks that I recommend, and it's really a combination of all of them to help you do better.
Cool, Ned. Absolutely love that. Well, I've seen your energy. You're all very bright and all going out to get it. All very busy. But
this is about doing, man. It's all about doing.
Yeah. But when you're not doing, when you want to rest, when you want to chill, what do you do for fun? Because now it's all about doing for you now. How do you when do you take that rest though?
So it's hard for me, man. Like, honestly, I'm going all the time, and all the time I have new ideas and fresh ideas, and I get a pen and paper and I do exactly what I talk about in the book: concept, idea, execution. I write stuff down. I come up with different ideas and innovations and concepts and stuff like that. But on my downtime, I like to watch West Ham football. Come on, you Irons. We're going to win the league this year. Watch. And I'm a little bit addicted to football. It's incredibly embarrassing because there's so many better things to do with your time. I mean, like, I could list them. There's just, and it's kind of like, I don't know, it's a bunch of guys running around, after a ball on a field. Like, you start to think about it in relative terms of what a waste of time it is. And I'm embarrassed to say that I watch every single game. I watch Match of the Week every week. And I want to see what's going on. I'm on the transfer market. Like, I get notifications. Anytime like a player gets transferred or any rumors, I'm like so into it. I'm in a fantasy football league.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's pretty embarrassing.
It's good. At least you're doing something you love as well, But and I know you work hard as well. So that kind of like plays for you as well.
What do you do to relax, man? You go a million miles an hour too. What do you do?
Well, to relax as well, I watch football as well. I'm a big F1 fan, Lewis Hamilton.
Nice.
All the way. I also sometimes I read less. I wouldn't say I'm a reader, but I listen to books more, audio listening,
Yeah,
do that. Because for me, I found out that reading is not something that I would ever get used to be honest. It's hard for me, man. But I would love to like listen. If I'm driving to work, I listen to a lot of audio books and
yeah.
stuff like that, So, few things to relax as well. Some movies as well, but sometimes, I need a lot of time to do a lot of stuff. So I don't really have time to relax, to be honest. But it's
Tell
good.
me about it.
So now, if guys want to get in touch with you and they say, I listened to this guy on this show, I love the guy's fire. He was breathing out dragon fire. I want to get in touch with him. Where's the best place for them to get in touch with you?
Definitely. So my name is Nir, Nir Bashan, Bashan. There are three of us in the whole world. And I'm not the one like uploading the Call of Duty clips. There's somebody uploading Call of Duty clips, Nir Bashan. That's not me. I don't have no time for Call of Duty. Sounds good though. It's like might be fun. Anyway, so I'm really easy to find. I'm on Insta and LinkedIn and Facebook and all those things. I have the book is on Amazon. It's on Barnes and Noble. It's available worldwide. It's being translated into 2 languages. It's a McGraw-Hill release, which is a great publisher. Really passionate about the title, so I'm very happy that they're behind it. I'm really easy to find. NirBashan.com. Come send me an email. I have a community where we have CEOs all the way to students who are writing, how do I get more creative? How do I find a new CFO of my company? Where do I, how do I archive social media? Somebody just wrote that, and I think that's really great and super amazing. So come join me on there if any of this sounds good. I'd love to see you. I'd love to hear from you. And
Yeah, cool. So it's nice talking to you. Nice conversation so far. Love the whole creativity thing. Love the fact the way you started your entrepreneurial journey. All the way from a boy. Struggling and trying to just make ends meet. For those of you that want to get in touch with Ask the Pros, we're on Instagram, Ask the Pros. Email is askthepros@gmail.com. So there, nice having this conversation with you. Love it. Love the energy. And I'm grateful for the time as well.
yeah, thank you, man. Thank you for having me. This has been great.
Yeah. Nice.